is basically a segment on political abolitionism. Now, we talk about all the stuff that we need to abolish this, abolish that. What about politics itself? More specifically, political affiliation. Now, we got all these ideas about how we can understand politics, right? Oh, yeah, it's like politics is this line, okay? And over here you got your left, and over here you got your right, and that's how we can understand politics. And a lot of people are like, that sucks. That's not fucking, that's not fucking telling the whole story. So then we added this new line to it, right? And this side is authoritarian, and this side is libertarian, right? So it's not only just a matter of are you left wing or are you right wing? Now it's a matter of are you authoritarian or are you libertarian? Do you believe in strong centralized power, or do you believe that the individual should be, the measure, right? But even this, you take the political compass test, tells you, oh, you're here, oh, you're here, oh, you're here, oh, you're here. And people are like, I don't really feel like I'm there. I don't really feel like that's where I'm at. Some of these people have done some ridiculous shit trying to fucking make this work. I've seen political compasses with like multi-axis points, like, oh, this is this axis. They try to, every time they fucking like, oh, we're gonna get it super nuanced to the point where it looks like a giant fucking asterisk because they just keep adding new axes to it, and that's just not gonna fucking do anything. So we don't need to save that. So that's, I don't really think, but how do we fucking qualify this shit? Okay, how do we fucking qualify politics? So we want to have this understanding of like, okay, so this is going to be, we're going to go real fucking basic bitch 101, shit with this. So let's just say this is the left, okay? These are the libs, the liberals, and this is the right, okay? That's what we got. And, within each of these, we have certain ideas, So, like, let's talk about let's talk about things that a leftist would be. It's like anti-racist, They might be, anti-capitalist. Okay? They probably want... they might want to abolish private property, some shit like that. What else can we put under the left here, So, obviously, either you have an authoritarian left and a fucking libertarian left, if you're going to go by the fucking political compass thing. So it's like kind of hard to come up with general, like, leftist things. But, you could say, and that's kind of the point I'm going to build to here, actually. Let's just move on to libs here. So you got your fucking liberals here. They might believe in, like, a strong social safety net. They might believe in, like, some regulation. But not too strong, right? They're probably pro-union, right? Pro-union. Now, of course, this is like real broad strokes, so you can find exceptions to all this, and that's kind of the point that I'm building towards. So, hold the criticism. So, right, you might say tradition. They want traditional values. They want fiscal conservatism, although usually pro-military and pro-cop. So we got like some basic fucking things in here for everybody. Now, is every left winger anti-racist? No. Are all of them? I mean, you know, there could be disputes about the anti-capitalist thing. There could be disputes about the abolish private property thing. That seems pretty much like trademarks, but there's plenty of people who say I'm on the left who are like, well, you know, we got to have some, you know, we can have some capitalism or whatever the fuck. But a lot of other leftists say, no, you're not a leftist, you a lib. You just go join the lib camp. And there's people who call themselves liberal who don't really believe in a strong social safety net. They just believe in some kind of safety net. And there's people on the right who believe on a little bit of a safety net, but not as strong as like a lib might. You know, the way that our system is set up, there's probably people out there that have basically the same exact beliefs, but one's out there calling themselves a liberal and one's out there calling themselves a conservative, because that's just how fucking closely related this shit can be. So what I'm fucking basically arguing with this political abolitionist shit is, let's just erase all these fucking labels here. Blah, 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 blah. Get rid of all this shit. We don't need to totally erase it, as long as like most of it's gone. And let's talk about how people actually operate here. So, you know, maybe somebody is anti-capitalist, like a fucking leftist is, you know, associated with. But, you know, they still support us. They support a strong social safety net, but they're still pro-military and pro-cop, right? And maybe in some ways, they're even traditional. So you got this person who then has to decide, like, where do they fit in? You know? I want a strong military. I'm an anti-cap. This is basically, we're talking about like this is basically like almost like a Soviet at this point. Maybe Soviets weren't too big on tradition, but whatever. You know, tradition can be a number of things to a number of people. But, you know, like, where does this person fit in? Are they on the left because they're anti-capitalist? Are they on the right because they believe in traditionalism and pro-militarism and shit like that? My point is that if you could just sit here endlessly and create fucking attributes, right? And I'll just do that. You could just create attributes. You could say racist, or you could say anti-racist, or anti-o-racist if you want. You could say pro-life. You could say pro-choice. You could say traditionalist. You could say fucking progressive. You could say pro-capitalist. You could say some capitalism. You could say no capitalism. All right? And, you know, you could fucking create a little stereotype of a person that fits neatly into some category. I'm a traditionalist, and I'm a racist, and I'm pro-capitalist as fuck. But is that really how it works? I mean, you could almost just randomly circle this shit. Like, oh yeah, I'm a racist, but pro-choice, and you know, I'm anti-capitalist, right? There's plenty of fucking socialists who are fucking racist. Or you have someone who's pro-life and who's a traditionalist, but who's staunchly anti-racist. You know? That's the one part of the past they don't like. And my argument here is that this is how our politics actually work. It's not so much about, hey, I'm in these fucking, like, we have the illusions of, like, this is a tribe, this is a tribe, this is a tribe. Like, here's this tribe, here's this tribe, here's this tribe. And this tribe has this beliefs that go with X, and this tribe has beliefs that go with Y, and this tribe has beliefs that go with Z. But in reality, people are a hodgepodge of different fucking binary choices to different questions. And even, like, if you take something like racist in and of itself, it's a series of, like, little binary choices. Like, what race are you? You know, like, are you white? Yes or no? Yes. Are you against black people? No. Are you against Mexicans? Yes. Do you think Mexicans are genetically inferior? No. Do you think Mexicans are culturally inferior? Yes. Like, there could be different fucking binary answers to yes or no questions within any of this stuff, whether you call yourself anti-racist, pro-life, traditionalist, anti-capitalist, pro-choice, progressive, some capitalism, pro-capital. Like, all of that is just contingent upon a series of yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. And it can't then be filtered into, like, fitting on some axis somewhere or putting you into a certain tribe. Like, I am part of I'm a social democrat. Like, we have the illusion of these coherent philosophies that people belong to. But I think that it's really just, it comes down to such an individualized level that there are as many political philosophies as there are fingerprint types. Or footprints. Those are unique too. Or DNA. Like, it's that unique. Now, I understand why linguistically we can't talk about it in these terms, because there's no way to have a conversation about my politics and your politics if we can't kind of identify with, like, it's sort of like this thing, but sort of like this thing is not the same as that thing, right? So I don't know if people understand what I'm getting at with this shit, but I guess the overall point is just this. It's not about affiliation. I understand that people do join groups and identify with groups, and maybe sometimes they even change some of their beliefs to fit in with X, Y, or Z group. But ultimately, I think that there's so much difference and distinction and nuance that goes right down the line that it's pretty much impossible to actually categorize people in a meaningful way. Now, you can do it in a way that makes conversation easier. You can do it in a way that is going to help someone communicate in a general sense, maybe what they believe. Like, I'm pretty comfortable saying, like, I'm on the left. Now, does that mean there are there are positions I hold that are probably more akin to what a mainstream liberal would hold. There are positions I hold that are probably more akin to what a right-winger would hold. Not many, but some. And so I think that this idea that you're going to have unity or loyalty to one particular ideal, I think is kind of silly. Now, I kind of want to segue this into talking about the concept, I guess, of left-wing unity. Because I've heard this left unity shit tossed around a little bit, sometimes almost to the point of parody, as in, I think, this instance. So this person here, Hector Rivera, said this party needs Tulsi Gabbard to have credibility on FP, foreign policy, and to seek unity with the anti-war, anti-corruption, pro-civil liberties right. Okay. If it becomes a new leftist party, the polarization continues and the establishment continues to divide and conquer. Self-segregation helps them. So then Grumpy Bertie Sanders said, leftists themselves are fractured. We need a unified left that unified front united with anti-war, anti-corruption, pro-civil liberties faction on the right. Now, aside from being almost completely incoherent, I just love the fact that this tweet uses like 3 different forms of the word unity. Well, 2 different forms, but one twice. Unified left, unified front, and I think they use united somewhere else here. Wait, we need a unified. I guess they only use it twice. Oh no, unified front, united. So unified, united. And I don't know what this fucking bullshit is about how we need to, like, unite left and right together. We need to go to the anti-war, anti-corruption, pro-civil liberties right. What the fuck is that? I've never seen any evidence of that existing. So, I'm sorry. I don't know how. Like, you might as well be telling me to hold hands with, like, mythical fairy tale creatures at this point. There's no pro-civil liberties fucking right. There's no anti-corruption right. There's no anti-war right. Well, maybe there's an anti-war right. That one's unfair. But there's no anti-corruption or pro-civil liberties right. Unless you want to just say that all this left-right shit should just be destroyed, which I think is kind of maybe what I'm sort of getting at. This kind of is an outgrowth of what Vosh was saying a few weeks back about collaborating with people on the stuff that you agree with them on, right? And I guess this tweet here is trying to do a form of that, but it's still using this left-right paradigm. And I'd almost say that, I'm not going to go so far as to say that concepts like left and right are illusory, because I've already stated that I think that they're good for communication. But as far as like my objectives go, like if I'm going to take a fucking right-wing position on a fucking matter, I'm trying to think of a specific matter that I would take a right-wing position on. I'm really fucking struggling. But if I were to say, like, let's say I become convinced tomorrow, hypothetically, that, abortion is wrong. I was mistaken about the issue. I actually think that, the life of the fetus trumps the choice of the woman. That's my new point of view. I've come to that fucking conclusion. Now, I have not actually come to that conclusion, but for the sake of this hypothetical, let's say that I have. So, even though I disagree with right-wingers on every other subject under the sun, even though I disagree with Christians on any other subject under the sun, I'm willing to work with them I would be willing to work with them insofar as it curtails abortion rights, if that's what I believed. And so on and so forth across the issues. I think that to some extent we need to stop focusing on tribal affiliations and say, this is my team. And we need to recognize that we might have a different team issue to issue. We might have a different team depending on the scenario and depending on the issue that's presenting itself. Instead of, I am loyal to this ideology, just recognize that you have your own ideology that's completely unique to you. And if someone is pursuing advances in one aspect of that, you can fight with them on that issue. And you probably should. For the advance, if you're going to be a politically active person, then it should be your job to advance your worldview, whatever that is. And so, I think that it can't be so much about I'm a left-wing person, and this is a left-wing person, and therefore we need to get together on everything. And, the stuff we don't agree on, we need to figure out a way to agree. We need to come to some consensus on that. I think that it's better. I think it's more productive to look at someone like, hey, you're left-wing, I'm left-wing. If we have a disagreement on a particular issue, yeah, sure, we can argue it out. But if we come to the conclusion that neither of us is going to budge on that issue, we'd be better off just saying, okay, well, fuck you on that issue, but let's still work together on X, Y, and Z, right? And I think that, there's too much of this mentality where instead of having that attitude, where instead of saying, okay, we disagree on, X, but we agree on Y and Z, it's like, hey, if you disagree with me on X, then fuck you on X and Y and Z, even though I agree with you on that. And, it's just not very smart coalition building at that point. And it just seems like you have no chance of any sort of, quote-unquote, united left, as long as the mentality is one of, hey, if you're not ideologically in lockstep with me, then fuck you on everything. Even the stuff we agree on, I refuse to work with you. I'm too pure for you. And you see that kind of mentality displayed. I'm going to show you an anecdotal tweet here, but this is not, in my experience, an uncommon sort of idea. So this person says, you could probably help me name a dozen good lifelong political leftists on this site. Everyone else is a former shithead conservative, liberal, libertarian, fascist, gamer-gator, white supremacist, tradcath, transphobe, homophobe, etc., and that shit never washes out. So, first of all, this criteria, I mean, I actually tweeted this out, and I was like, I'm building a coalition. No one is good enough to join, you know? Like, this person is literally saying only a dozen people are good enough for them. Like, okay, well, congratulations. You know, your political movement, as you conceive of it, is going exactly fucking nowhere. Because you've basically set up a standard where, hey, even if you agree with me on stuff now, if you've ever disagreed with me on stuff at any point in your fucking life, fuck you. Unless you were born with a copy of the Communist Manifesto in your fucking hand, you are not lefty enough for me, good sir. If you have ever held any opinion contrary to what I think, then I have no interest in you. That shit never washes off. Only people who were born left-wing and who have been steadfastly left-wing for their entire lives and remain left-wing and shall always be left-wing are good enough for me. So this is the kind of fucking bullshit. This is why this mentality right here, which, you know, obviously this is one person, as I said, this is anecdotal. But this sort of mentality across the board to various extents is why there's never going to be this fucking concept of left unity that I've heard people talk about. You know, there's just too many people out there that are not, that once you no longer meet their purity threshold, they're not interested in engaging with you anymore. On anything. And meanwhile, my ass is over here like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if there's someone who is a fucking just outright piece of shit Nazi motherfucker, but we can get together on even one issue, I will fucking work with them on that issue to make that one thing happen. Because I don't view myself as belonging to a tribe. I don't view myself as anybody's fucking ally. I view myself as an advocate for my own ideology, which is unique to me, and it's comprised of a series of yes or no questions in my head, and they're nested within different little file folders in my brain, and sometimes the switches flip based on mood or based on the last fucking person I heard or any number of factors. So even within me, it's inconsistent. I could believe something. My ideology has probably in some way changed from before I ate dinner to now. I don't know exactly how it has. I don't know if it has. But I suspect that there's at least one little subtle change in mood that has changed my opinion on at least one or two little binary yes or no questions. That's why every time you fill out the political compass test, like if you're someone who's filled it out multiple times like me, you probably notice in the same general area, but it moves around a little bit. That little dot might move every so slightly this way or that way or Right? Right. It moves around a little bit. And the reason it moves around a little bit is because how you answer those little yes or no questions, some days you might say, I strongly agree with that. Other days you might be more conflicted. You might say, oh, I only slightly agree. Actually, today I disagree. You don't even notice the difference, but it's just something in your mood. The question hit you a little different. I mean, they've studied this in psychology where like something as minor as he was handed a cold drink before he went into the job interview will create an entirely different impression of what happened in that job interview. Just based on he touched something warm before he did it, or he touched something cold before he did it. I forget what exactly this phenomenon is called, but you can look it up. It's a fucking real thing. The slightest little thing that you've experienced just before you answer a yes or no question can change your answer to that question, and in doing so, change who you are. You're not the same person from second to second. Just like you can never step into the same river twice because the river is always changing, you are always changing. So there's not even political consistency within your own being from moment to moment. So this idea that you belong to a group that all believe the same things, or that's even a desirable thing, like we all need, like this, I've seen, and it's been centered around this fucking Biden shit that I can't believe, like I've seen it, okay? I had a big argument with Paul Zigo, my co-host on my podcast, Deep Fat Fried, had a big argument on an episode that we shot a few days ago. It hasn't come out yet. I don't want to poison the well by talking about too many of the specifics about what that argument entailed. That would just be unfair. But I had a big argument. And suffice to say, it still very much matters to him what you as a leftist do in this election. He says, do not participate. I say, you should participate. I say, vote for Biden. Do a harm reduction vote for Biden in the election. He says, don't do that. You got Vosh over there on his channel passionately advocating. You got to fucking do the harm reduction vote for Biden. You got to do it because Trump's a fucking fascist. And like I see it, like Paul very passionately, oh my God, if you fucking, don't you understand? If Trump wins, if you participate in this, you're fucking helping them push the Overton window to the right. Because you're just electing fucking centrist corporate bullshit Democrats, or, whereas if Trump wins, maybe the pendulum swings so far right that it teaches the fucking Democrats a lesson, and it swings harder back left, And it's like, this is the fucking, it's the tipping point, man. This is the tipping point. And Vosh, it's like, oh my God, no, if you let Trump win again, then we're going to be fucking marched off to the fucking gulags. When we protest in 2022, we're not going to be protesting against state police. It's going to be fucking jackbooted fucking thugs. This is just like fashion. I don't want to be the most woke leftist in the mass grave kind of shit. Like, I'm hearing this rhetoric from people I listen to that are treating this fucking like, should lefties vote for Biden or should they not vote for Biden? I've seen people on both sides of this treating it like, oh my God, we have got to fucking, like, this is the battle we have got to have, ladies and gentlemen. This is important shit. And like, to me, it's not that important. Like, I feel like I've made my case. Like, I think that, for short-term harm reduction, it probably makes more sense to vote for Biden and the Democrats than it does to vote for Trump and the Republicans. It's the entirety of the argument. And you know what? If you buy that, then listen to me. If you don't buy that, then don't fucking listen to me. We can have it. We can argue it out. We can talk about it. But at the end of the day, come to your own fucking conclusion. Because at a certain point, I want to do what I just advocated a moment ago. I want to move on. I want to say, hey, all right, we clearly don't agree on this, but we agree on a lot of other stuff, so let's move on. Because honestly, I don't buy the apocalyptic talk from either side of this issue. I don't buy the idea that what lefties do in this election is going to, it's going to be so important going forward. No, either way, Democrat or Republican, Trump or Biden, foreign policy, basically fucking identical. Policy on Wall Street, basically fucking identical. Social policies, pretty different. Pretty fucking different on that. But not to the point where I feel like it's going to make some drastic fucking difference. I don't think that re-electing Trump means, okay, now there's just no hope because fascism has come to America. And I don't think if Biden wins, I don't think that's going to cement the fucking stranglehold of the DNC. It's breaking anyway. Like, it's just fucking breaking. Like, no matter what, no matter which of these two guys gets in office, the left has the same basic fucking job at that point. Subvert, subvert, subvert. Whether we're fucking working to subvert Trump or subvert Biden, that's what we're doing. And we're criticizing their every decision. And we're showing the ways in which they have failed us. And we're showing the ways in which this system has failed us. We're showing the way that this two-party duopoly has fucking failed us, regardless of which one of these guys wins the day. That's the job that you fucking have. Unless you are a mainstream Democrat or a Trump-style Republican, in which case I guess you got a dog in this fucking fight. But if you're literally anything else, then your job is to fucking subvert this shit, regardless of who gets power. But, you know, for the sake of, you know, my trans friends and my gay friends and all of my fucking minority friends out there who are going to have it a little bit harder under the Trump administration, I'd rather them take it a little bit easier under a Biden administration. But nobody gets to fucking take it easy. Unless you are a neoliberal centrist fucking moron, you don't get to take it easy regardless of who fucking gets elected. You got a fucking fight on your hands. Because Bernie Sanders didn't fucking win the election, okay? He didn't win. We can bitch all day about, oh, well, they fucking, DNC fucking cheated us, man. That's fine. But get over it, because he didn't win. He lost. And this is what you got. It's going to be one of these two guys. It's going to be one of these fucking two guys. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to change it. So accept that that's going to happen. Make your personal decision about how you're going to fucking vote. I have made mine, and I have advocated for it, and will continue to advocate for it. But if you've made a different decision, okay. At this point, I'm willing to say, fuck it. I don't care. I don't agree that it's going to be apocalyptic one way or the other. I don't think it matters that much. I think that it really only matters as far as that harm reduction shit goes. Short-term harm reduction, I think Biden's better, and that's it. That's it. Beyond that, I'm not making any statements beyond that. I don't think Biden's going to be a good president. I don't think he's even going to be like an okay president. I think what you're going to have is a repeat of, you know, the Obama doctrine, which basically is continued wars overseas, continued American imperialism, continued handouts to Wall Street, continued corporate glad handing, and occasionally a little bone on a social issue. Here you go. Oh, our healthcare system sucks. Well, here's a slightly better one. You know? Biden is going to fucking, he's going to restore some of the provisions of Obamacare that Trump undid. Maybe he'll even go a little further. Well, is he going to actually dismantle the insurance industry? Is he going to fucking actually take on the moneyed interests? No, of course not. He's going to give them a fucking handout. So don't fucking think that your fight is anywhere near over. Like, the idea that lefties actually think this election matters is kind of absurd to me. Like, I get it. Trump's a fucking, Trump's a crypto-fascist piece of shit. But he's so fucking inept. Like, he's a really fucking, it sucks. He's going to get to appoint Supreme Court justices, but, and judges and shit. And it's going to have an effect. It's going to be negative. And I think he is the worst of the two. And I'm not going to pretend that they're completely equal on all fronts, but on many fronts they are. Foreign policy equals. Fucking policy on, big business and Wall Street and income inequality and stuff like that, and capitalism, the flaws thereof, they're the same fucking candidate on that stuff. On some social issues, they're fucking pretty fucking different. Because that's about the difference you get between the two parties in this country. They define themselves on the wedge issues, and the wedge issues are the social issues. And I understand, and I think everyone should understand, it's part of a fucking divide and conquer strategy, right? It's part of their divide and conquer strategy. Joe Biden doesn't fucking have any more. Joe Biden and Donald Trump, they don't really, I don't know how much difference inside their hearts or whatever they fucking have for their feelings against like trans people or about trans people. For all I know, Trump has no problem with him, and Joe Biden's the biggest bigot in the world. But the fact of the matter is that because Trump is the standard bearer for the Republican Party, he's gonna do stuff against trans people, as he's already fucking done. You know, he already fucking has curtailed the rights of trans people in America in like huge ways, and just gay people in general, and you know, come up with avenues for religious institutions to discriminate against them and stuff like that. And Joe Biden is not going to do that. If anything, Joe Biden is going to fucking restore anti-discrimination fucking, you know, clauses and shit. And it probably has nothing to do with his own personal feelings. Just like that's how his team gets the votes. Our team believes in these social issues. Our team believes in these social issues. And that's how they fucking divide and conquer us. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what their motives are. If they're willing to make people suffer just to achieve their ends, then it really doesn't matter why they're doing it or how calculating it is. So I happen to just think that, you know, the issues that Joe Biden is representing as far as social issues go, the standard package of Democratic social issues is better than the standard package of Republican social issues. And that's basically about it. But Democrats suck. Republicans suck. Trump, as far as I'm concerned, like all this stuff about Trump being a fascist, guess what? I heard the same stuff about Bush. And it rang just as true, because the Republican Party did not just become a fucking pseudo-fascist party under Trump. It's been that way for a while, okay? And the Democrats, I hate to break it to you, but they ain't much better. And if you think they are, then I'd love to have that argument, I guess. But I do think they're marginally better. And so do that harm reduction vote. But at the end of the day, make no mistake, both these parties, they either have to go or they have to get some new competition, or they have to be taken over and changed from the inside out. And I'll be honest with you, there's not really a whole lot of fucking great options here. You know, the options before us are pretty fucking limited. I don't want to get too far into them because we're actually doing some deep fat fried episodes on this very subject. So I don't want to get too deep into that. And I actually already went into it a few streams back. I wish I could remember the exact name of the stream that I did where I kind of talked about different paths forward for the left. But if you want to find it, I think you could probably infer it from the title of the fucking streams if you go back and look through them.
Become a patron for Pessimist Productions. Pledge $5, $10, or anything in between or more for bonus content from the amazing atheist and his crew. Don't miss out.